What's going on, everyone? Welcome back. Today I'm going to showcase one of my favorite core breakers as well as one of my favorite fire types in the Go Battle League, which is Talonflame. Getting right on into the first game of the day, Talonflame as our lead up against a Dugong. Not necessarily the best matchup, but it's also pretty playable. Incinerate is neutral. I mean, every move being thrown here is going to be neutral, right? We might, I guess, take an Aqua Jet. That did get buffed in this season, but I'd be very surprised if we saw a Dugong running Aqua Jet here, what's going to be thrown. Thankfully, just an Ice Wind. I did not manifest the Aqua Jet Dugong, not this time at the very least. Fly coming through this should be able to put them into maybe two-shot range here, but I am going to have my attack decreased. There's a chance this next fly is not actually enough damage. Maybe I should have gone for the Brave Bird, but my opponent might shield this up one way or another. Yeah, I mean, Dugong users, they love Switch Advantage, which is exactly what they're going for. Icy Wind will end up knocking us out here, but I think now our Shadow Drapion should be able to come in, neutralize this Dugong, and keep it away from our Claydol. I don't know what's in the backline right now, but I'm hoping Claydol, once this Ice type is gone, should have some play. I go for the Aqua Tail, and right now I'm kind of wondering, does this even knock out? If this does not, then we're in such a bad spot. They got a CMP, and yeah, the 1 HP survived, just about as 1 HP as it gets, right? I don't think they have any more than 1 HP here, but they get that Icy Wind off. Luckily not a Drill Run at the very least. That could have done a massive amount of damage, but I will clear my debuff, swap into my Claydol. I have some energy on my Shadow Drapion, so despite the misplay, we might still be in a playable spot. I stay in when I swap in Claydol here. I shield up a Bone Club. I have no idea what they have in the backline, and I don't want to be in a range where I'm just going to get completely mud-slapped down here, so I shield up that first charge if I go for the Grass Knot, and Bullet Seed at this point also is kind of putting them into a range where Aqua Tail for my Shadow Drapion might be enough to knock them out. In comes the next charge move, Bone Club going to be thrown, and we see a Charjabug as their final Pokemon. This is a very interesting matchup. I know Rock Tomb should be able to put them pretty low, and I can actually swap out into my Shadow Drapion here. I'm going to overfarm, go for the Aqua Tail, try to knock out this Charjabug before they even get a single charge move off, and now if I can, I'll throw an Aqua Tail as well into that Marowak. Comes the charge move. This might not be enough damage to completely one-shot them from this range, but I know I'm also outside of range where I'd get knocked out by a Bone Club on my Claydol, so all that really matters here is getting that damage and then farming them all the way down. One Bullet Seed is all it takes here to knock out the Marowak. We're able to win the match. GG to our opponent. Next game, Frostlass in the lead. Is this running Hex? If it is, potentially it's going to be able to outpace some of my Pokemon in the backline. They are on Hex. What is this? A Shadow Alolan Graveler in the open greatly. I have no idea what I'm seeing right now. A Spice Lord is in our presence. I love to see it. With that said, our Claydol is a pretty good counter to this. I know if they have like Stone Edge, they probably could two-shot us here, but we do draw a shield with our Rock Tomb bait. Yeah, there's a Stone Edge. That's debuff damage, by the way. Geez, that still did quite a bit of damage to our Claydol. We're going to shield up this next charge move here and hope that we can outpace. They actually have Rock Blast, double Rock type charges, which is kind of crazy here. Not even like Wild Charge or anything on this Pokemon, but we can go for a Rock Tomb, which should be able to, I guess, draw the second shield. Interesting stuff, and a Spiritomb, I guess, in the back. Man, yeah, this trainer is spicing it up so much right now. Rock Tomb comes through. It does not quite put them into Aqua Tail range, so I have to take a Rock Tomb here, but I did debuff their attack stat. Spiritomb likely would win that CMP, so that's why I didn't throw the Crunch just yet. But I know at this point, there's a Alolan Graveler in the backline that gets knocked out by an Aqua Tail, a freaking Frostlass with Hex that does not want to take a Crunch as well. We should be in a pretty good spot right now. Crunch will finish off the Spiritomb, and if that Graveler comes back in, I guess we'll go for an Aqua Tail. If it's this Frostlass, I guess we'll go for a Crunch. In comes the charge move. Our opponent at this point has very little HP remaining, and now the Aqua Tail is likely still going to be able to knock it out despite the attack drop. In comes the charge move. Our opponent at this point has no shields remaining. It knocks out the Frostlass, and I think we can even just knock out the Graveler with an Aqua Tail. GG there to our opponent. Next game, Shadow Jumpluff in the lead. Very interesting Pokemon to see. Probably one of the best Pokemon our entire team could see. They come in with a Claydol, a Pokemon that we do have our Claydol as a hard response for, and I also can go for a Brave Bird right before swapping out to get a guaranteed shield. These Incinerates as well will be very nice to put them into a range where Grass Knot will be a guaranteed knockout. I know Grass Knot does not cleanly one-shot a Claydol, especially with the Bullet Seed damage. They go for an Ice Beam, which while that is a smart play, they have to keep in mind by going for that move, they're not going to be able to debuff my attack stat, and this is going to get a knockout now against the Claydol if they don't shield. In comes a move they're hoping potentially to survive the attack, but because we can knock them out here, now they're in a much worse spot where maybe I even get a charge attack from my Claydol off into this Shadow Jumpluff. We can now pace them here to this next charge move. This Rock Tomb will put them deep into the yellow, and because they can't even farm us down here, they're going to be forced into throwing energy against our Claydol. I also have no idea what's in the backline, but I know I'm just so strong into this Jumpluff. Might as well keep my Claydol just in case I need it. We bait out a Skeledirge of all things. Not the worst case scenario because I have Flies here, which are pretty neutral against them. They let that first move go, And I'm kind of thinking there's no way they don't just go for a Torch Song here. If they Shadow Ball, that's all of their energy down the drain. If it's a Torch Song and I no shield, I survive, I can get to another fly, and now Shadow Drapion should be able to start spamming out charge moves and taking this endgame matchup. Comes a fly, it knocks out. Well, actually, it doesn't. They shield the move. But now my Shadow Drapion comes in. I should be able to shield this move up. Go for an Aqua Tail here after one more Poison Sting. Don't take any extra fast food pressure if I don't have to. Knock out the Skeledirge. Now I still have a shield. That Jumpfluff has nowhere to hide. In comes our Aqua Tail. It knocks out the Skeledirge. Shadow Jumpfluff comes back in, but I have so much health remaining. They have so little health remaining at this point. They're even in Aqua Tail range. So they go for a charge move, trying to hope that I no shield in Acrobatics maybe, but we can go for the shield here and then a Crunch to knock them out. Crunch comes through. They have nowhere to hide. Jumpluff will go down. Shadow Drapion able to close out the win in this match. All right, next matchup here. Talonflame as our lead Pokemon up against a Water type. Not the worst Water type to see, but Lapras could be potentially awkward in the backline. I'm going to try our best here to dance around and go for a Crunch into them and try to whittle them down. Crunch will be able to put them to about half HP here, into a range where a Fly would pretty comfortably knock them out, but now they'll throw a charge move in return. This is likely a Sparkling Aria, which will probably put me close to the red. Yeah, not quite the red, but it will put me low enough here that I am in maybe a farm down range. But they come in with a Shadow Drapion, a Pokemon that can't necessarily farm us all the way down, but because they are healthy enough here, I think they can survive 2 Aqua Tails. I'm going to no-shield this move. I'm going to try, I guess, at this point to farm them all the way down with our Talonflame and hope that our Cradily in the backline is going to have some play now that this Shadow Drapion is baited out. But I know Aqua Tail here is so spammy, and it's going to do a lot of damage to my Talonflame. They'll get to 2 at the very least. If they get to 3, honestly, this game's probably over. But if they get to the second one, I know I can survive, and I can get a full Incinerate down, which, well, I will take this full charge move. I've done a lot of damage to their Lapras as well, so I think if I can get this farm down, get all this energy, it's still going to be worthwhile. Lapras likely going to come in to try to drain my energy here. It is exactly what our opponent brings in, and now my Fly will be thrown almost instantly to either knock them out or get a shield. We do draw a shield, likely meaning their final Pokemon is kind of weak here to our Talonflame. Now, Fly number 2 being thrown, this will either draw their second shield. It does. Interesting. They must be really weak to a Fire-type Pokemon in the backline, but I'll take that. At this point, I'm going to call that they do not have Ice Beam. No shield to move. I've seen so many Skull Bash Lapras recently in the Go Battle League. We do no shield on the Ice Beam, or on the Skull Bash Sparkling Aria. Jeez, can I get a move right here? We no shield the Sparkling Aria. We see a Jumpluff catch our Rock Tomb. Not exactly the catch they were hoping to make. Maybe they thought I'd go for a Grass Knot, but now I know that was also only an Aerial, so I can no-shield this any day of the week. My loose condition here would be that they bait us, and then they go for an Acrobatics, but if they don't even bait here, I can just no-shield, get to back-to-back charges here, and win the game that way. In comes their next Aerial, and this will be able to draw our final shield, but at this point, I have back-to-back Rock Tomb. This Jumpluff is going to go down, and very shortly after, the Lapras is going to go down with it. In comes the Rock Tomb number 1, knocks out this Jumpluff there. In comes the second one, and Lapras has nowhere to hide. The move is going to be thrown to the top left, GG to our opponent. All right, next game here. One of the best leads we could possibly see, the Wigglytuff, and in the backline is going to be a Gastrodon. Now, while Cradily in this matchup is pretty good, it can get awkward depending on what my opponent's going to do. I full send just in case they no-shield, but I know they're always going to shield this move up. If they were to call a Rock Tomb bait, that'd be catastrophic. They just no-shield the Grass Knot. That's even better. All right. Well, normally that matchup gets a little bit trickier, but, I'll take that any day of the week. Wigglytuff comes back in. I go for the Rock Tomb, which won't be able to one-shot them. Not this time. I one-shot the Gastrodon. That's about all I can really ask for from my Cradily. But we do get a debuff, and we put them deep into the yellow. While they will knock us out with a Swift, or rather with an Icy Wind here, it will put them into a range where I can incinerate them all the way down. They are energy dry as well as debuffed. Backline going to be... Oh, okay. Well, I was thinking at this point, not much could be in the back that could really pose a threat to a Shadow Drapion and a Talonflame. But yeah, my team's actually pretty weak to Guzzlord, isn't it? I go for the Fly, draw the shield, then I swap in my Shadow Drapion into the Guzzlord. Might be a strange play. You might be questioning, why would you do this? But I feel like at this point, I do have to start chipping this Pokemon down. And while this is not the greatest matchup in the world, Shadow Drapion can put in at least enough work in this scenario where I can start chipping them down with faster pressure. We don't get a debuff, which is a little bit unfortunate. If I could have got that defense drop, then I almost certainly could just farm down this Guzzlord. But I think we're still in a decent spot where we can go for the Aqua Tail now and put them into Poison Sting plus Incinerate down range. Aqua Tail being thrown, our opponent is going to let it go, puts them deep into the red. A couple more Poison Stings puts them even further down into Incinerate range. All I really need to do at this point is go for the shield on this charge attack and farm them all the way down. Wigglytuff is completely energy dry in the backline, and while we were in such a good spot in the lead here, this is going to get down to the wire. I do have a charge move here right now. I have back-to-back Flies, but they have their Swift right now, so if I didn't have 2 charge moves right now, they could actually win this game. Luckily, though, I do win CMP. But man, given how good this game started out, that Guzzlord in the back put in so much work into us. but we were still able to close it out there. GG to our opponent. All right, next game, going to see a Talon in the lead up against a Malamar. Very neutral matchup here. We know Malamar is going to be able to potentially go for a lot of Psywave damage, as well as potentially Foul Play, which is going to add up quite a bit over time. This Fly is going to be thrown. It's hopefully going to be able to draw a shield from them here. A shield advantage for a Cradily in the backline is going to be fantastic. Our opponent is building up a lot of energy. Honestly, a bit of a misplay by them here, making it so now I can reach a Brave Bird, no shield is Foul Play, and get both their shields. They just beamed me. This is not good. They just beamed my Talonflame. I don't know how to feel about this. I think pretty bad, honestly. This is not looking great for us. They come with the Shadow Drapion after banking so much energy as well on that Malamar. What is going on in these last couple of games? I don't even know at this point. I'm just hoping that we can come back from this. I don't know what's going to be in the backline, but I have to hope it's something that our Cradily has play into. Aqua Tail does do a lot of damage to us, and after that Psywave chip damage that got into us here, we're in range where 2 Aqua Tails knock us out, but they still need 3 Aqua Tails to knock them out. This means now I can't really fast move down. I will throw another Aqua Tail here, but now that is all of my energy down the drain. Aqua Tail being thrown and knocks out the Shadow Drapion, but I think that Malamar can come back in here, go for some foul plays, and start making even more of a mess of my team. Foul play going to be thrown. I'm hoping at this point that I can reach an Aqua Tail right before their next foul play. I guess it could also be Superpower, but no, it is a foul play, and Hyper Beam Malamar. They outpace us here. Not much I can do. I guess at this point, I'm just hoping that maybe I can reach an Aqua Tail against this. Maybe I can, like, I don't know, get a shield from something in the backline with another move from my Shadow Drapion, and then Cradily does Cradily things. It's a Talon. I don't get the Aqua Tail, though. Not much I could do there. Man, Hyper Beam, yeah, that's crazy. GG there to our opponent. All right, next game. Cradily in the lead. A little bit of an awkward matchup for both sides, honestly. The timing in this matchup is so much more favored to Talonflame because I can go for my moves after 1 Incinerate, whereas they have to go for 3 Bullet Seeds to get proper timing on their end. With that said, Bullet Seed is not going to do any damage to us, Incinerate's going to do a lot of damage to them, but they one-shot us with Rock Tomb, whereas we do not one-shot them with a Fly. They probably call the bait there. If I went for a Brave Bird, that would have been a little bit better for us, but Fly is going to draw the shield once again from our opponent, and because we're able to put them so low at this point, I'm not that worried about this Cradily. With that said, I do want to keep my Talonflame alive. If they're staying in this lead matchup, I have to imagine it's because they're a little bit soft to our Talonflame in the backline. And I mean, that right there is a good thing to see right now. We're able to get for a Fly against this Golisopod, and then we draw a shield. Cradily at this point should be able to survive an X-Scissor and reach a Rock Tomb before their second X-Scissor will be thrown. X-Scissor does do a lot of damage to us here, but we can't outpace him. Is this enough damage? I'm not sure if Golisopod can survive this move. It's going to be really close one way or another. Rock Tomb comes through. It does actually do just enough damage to knock them out, and their final Pokemon revealed as a Skeledirge. Not the worst case scenario here, right? Honestly, it's probably just an instant win for us right now. I know Rock Tomb is going to be able to knock them out here, and I can drain energy on our Talonflame. They do come back in Cradily. I can, once again, though, just come in with our Talonflame, make them throw their full-on Rock Tomb here to knock us out, then farm down with our Shadow Drapion, go for an Aqua Tail into that Skeledirge in the back line, and we should be able to win the game that way. Comes our Drapion, we get the full farm down. Even if they have Blast Burn, it won't one-shot us. We're able to take the win in the match. All right, next game, Shadow Drapion as the lead into our Talonflame. Very awkward lead matchup here, although it is a little bit more playable than you might give it credit for. While Aqua Tail is super effective, it's non-stab, and it's not the strongest move in the game, so Talon can in fact survive one move here. They also just let us get to a Fly first, which is kind of strange. Normally you see a throw after 7 Poison Stings, but they actually overfarmed, and for some reason, they don't even throw a Charge Attack here into my Drapion before swapping out, but I guess they come in with our the Claydol, which is a decent answer, I guess, into Shadow Drapion, but they were so slow on the swap here. I can just outpace the 2 charge moves at this point. In comes the Aqua Tail. This will knock them out if they let it go, so I likely get their second shield already. This game is looking a little bit better than I would have expected for how bad that lead was. They let us get another Aqua Tail off, so, I mean, at this point, this game's just kind of done. I don't see what they can do here to win this one. I guess Shadow Drapion does have a lot of energy. Final Pokemon revealed as a Jumpfluff. Can't quite swap out with an Aqua Tail, but I think at this point, all I need to do is make sure I have a Fly ready for that Drapion at some point in this game. I can shield up in Acrobatics, and I don't think there's anything they can do. They might not even see my Cradily. In comes the Shadow Drapion. They give us a full Incinerate Sneak, and that is totally fine by me. I win CMP. I can go for the Fly, knock out this Drapion, and then also knock out that Jumpluff with an Incinerate, as well as either a Brave Bird or a Fly, whichever I feel like doing in the moment. In comes the Charge move. Actually, I don't even get to throw the attack. GG there to our opponent. All right, Talon into Morpeko. All right, I wish I didn't see this. This is a Pokemon that, I mean, I have play into with our full team, but honestly, Cradily is not that comfortable into it. Same with Shadow Drapion. But look at how much damage you do with Incinerate here. If you can call the moves properly, it's not that bad of a matchup with how much fast fast move pressure you have. Excuse me. And this should be able to potentially put them into a fly range as well. Is that an Oranguru in the Open Great League? I guess so. All right, that's an interesting Pokemon to see here. Fun fact, resist everything you're going to throw against me, so I can no shield, overfarm so much energy. I'm kind of surprised I'm seeing the monkey. I saw this like in their retro cup, but what is this doing here? I don't know what it beats. It does not beat Shadow Drapion. That's all I know. And that's all I guess I really care about at this point. We go for the Aqua Tail. We'll get a full farm down against this thing with our Shadow Drapion. And if they come back in more Peko, I can spam out charge moves. If they come in with whatever their final Pokemon is, unless it's like an Azu, it's not going to want to take these moves anyway. It's going to be a Lapras from the looks of it, which is not a terrible spot for us to be in. Lapras, though, honestly, it could put in some work if they get a full farm down against us right now. I go for the Crunch. It does not get a debuff. The second one coming through almost immediately after. Our opponent is going to be forced into a shield pretty early this game if they want to be able to shield or survive anything. Their Morpeko is pretty low, and they throw a charge attack to knock out our Shadow Drapion. Kind of fine with that, though, at this point. My Talonflame has a decent amount of energy left over. I can go for a Fly to knock them out here. And then while that Morpeko is still around in the back, I don't think it really matters at this point. If they let this move go, which they actually do, they try to survive, then I can Incinerate down. If they were to shield that move up, I think my Claydol could close out this game. But now, there's a chance I don't even need my Claydol. I can just shield this move up, go for a full Incinerate down, and take care of a bit of a tricky spot, taking out 2 counters to Talon in the endgame. GG to our opponent. All right, Talon into... Yes, we're running it back. Morpeko in the lead. We saw this a second ago. It is playable, but is by no means comfortable. We'll see what our opponent's going to do. If they go for like a Psychic Fangs bait, it is so awkward because Psychic Fangs obviously is going to be so much spammier than any move Talonflame is going to throw. But they do go for Aura Wheel, which while it is still a spammy move, it's going to at least be a move that I'm not regretting shielding earlier on. I guess at this point, though, they do go for a Psychic Fangs now, which is not ideal. It's going to draw your second shield before we've even got a shield from them. But that's kind of fine. I mean, at this point, they have to shield their Morpeko if they want to get any more energy off. I'm 1 Incinerate away from another Fly. They're not at another charge attack just yet. We go for the Fly here, which should get the knockout, or should maybe get their final shield. Fly being thrown, our opponent will end up letting that move through. And an Annihilape in the backline. Not exactly a Pokemon my 2 Pokemon want to see back there. There's a chance for us to win this one. It really depends on what their 3rd Pokemon is going to be. Fly comes through. It does end up getting that shield. And I'm just hoping right now that they are not running close combat. There's a good chance it's like, I don't know, I've seen Superior in the back with this Pokemon. I've also seen like Talonflame in the back with Morpeko. So if it's a Talon, we're in a decent spot. If it's like a Superior or like another Claydol answer, we're in a lot of trouble. We go for the Crunch. It's not going to be enough to knock out. It's a non-Shadow Annihilape, but we get lucky. It's not on close combat. So we can end up playing that move here and put them into Bullet Seed down range. Claydol can one-shot whatever is in the back. There is a good chance we can win this one. In comes Claydol, and it's met by maybe one of the worst things you could see, the Alolan Sandslash. That team is ABA to Mudslap, ABA to counter. That team makes no sense. All right, well, next game here, Shadow Drapion in the lead. Another awkward dark type to see. But you've seen this matchup before. It is still very playable, right? Our opponent goes instantly for the Aqua Tail after 7 Poison Stings. Very good timing by them. And now I'm going to try our very best here to fly in just a second. But not before this. Drapion's going to show off how quick its pacing is, throw another charge attack into our Talonflame, which will draw our shield. But we can go for yet another Incinerate, and thankfully they're not at yet another Aqua Tail here. We can throw back-to-back Flies, which either gets a shield, maybe gets 2 shields as well, depending on what they want to do, and can make it so Talon does have a decent amount of play in this matchup. Fly coming through does draw that second shield from Shadow Drapion, and my own Drapion can come in, absorb the energy from this Pokemon, and hopefully neutralize a Pokemon that our Claydol does not really want to see. Aqua Tail comes through. Aqua Tail, unfortunately on CMP, ends up losing it with our Shadow Drapion. Not ideal here. I was hoping I could win that CMP, make it so I didn't take this damage, but I guess at this point, we really just have to rely on our Claydol to win us this game. I think our switch clock is going to come back up in a minute here. I guess not quick enough, though. It is going to be a Shadow Jumpluff in the backline, potentially playable. I know this is not the best spot to be in with a Claydol down energy, but after landing this Crunch, they're going to be in range where I could maybe one-shot them with a Rock Tomb. Our opponent's defense drop set is not that important, though. At this point, Rock Tomb would be enough to knock them out one way or another. We will go for the shield on the bait. That's not ideal, and now they're going to go for the full-on nuke with this Acrobatics. This is going to do a lot of damage to our Claydol. I mean, at this point, we will be able to knock out the Jumpfluff, but that has done so much damage to us here. I have to go for the Rock Tomb, knock them out before another Aerial Ace will be reached, but I have to hope it's like another Pokemon I can one-shot with Claydol in the back. What could it be? Not for it. That's not going to be winnable here at this point. GG there to our opponent. All right, next game, Talon into Shadow Pidgeot. All right, well, for once in my life, I actually have an answer to this Pokemon, or like, I guess not really an answer necessarily, but I'm not inherently weak to this, and that's a good thing. I've been like triple weak to this in the past with like a Jumpfluff and a Mudslapper and a Fighter, so I'm happy here to at least have a neutral matchup into this. I can go for an instant fly there. The timing works out very nicely with a 5-turn into a 4-turn move if they can't throw very early on. And we're able to now swap into our Shadow Drapion, actually shield up a Brave Bird. They full send. They tried to kill my Shadow Drapion. That's unkind. But I'm able to shield that up, go for the crunches against this Claydol, and start chipping this Pokemon down. I actually reach a crunch here. I'm going to go for the Aqua Tail bait just to see what our opponent's going to do. They didn't actually go for the CMP, which means now I likely do get Mud Slap down, but it probably would have happened one way or another here. I can try to go for a Bullet Seed down maybe, but it could be awkward here depending on what their final Pokemon is. Ice Beam is super effective into Cradilly, so I think what I'm going to do, if this is an Ice Beam, I know I can actually reach a charge move before their second move will be reached. Go for this Grass Knot here, get the guaranteed knockout, and if we do see that Talonflame, or rather that Pidgeot come back in, I'll bring in my Talon. Grass Knot does, in fact, knock them out. They are thinking about who to bring in. Okay, well, they bring in a Annihilape as well, which is a Pokemon. I also just want to bring in my Talonflame too. I guess they make a catch on their Pidgeot, but I'm going to be honest, they probably wanted this gust damage to go through. At this point, I can get to yet another fly. Talonflame is spammy enough here that it doesn't necessarily matter. In comes a Rage Fist. It'll boost up their attack. It'll get the final shield from my Talonflame, but it doesn't matter. We can go for this fly, knock them out, and take the win in this game. Talon putting in so much work here, knocking out basically the entirety of my opponent's team. Down goes the Shadow Annihilape, and we can take the win in that match. Our next game is going to be Shadow Drapion. Again, into our Talonflame. We've seen this matchup a couple times today. Very playable, but I mean, it's not a matchup I want to be in, but our backline also doesn't have a great answer, so I'm fine kind of just soft losing, or maybe winning the one-shield matchup, depending on how our opponent wants to put this out. Here comes that first Aqua Tail. Here comes the second one as well, right before my flies will be reached. But it is almost my turn to throw charge moves, which means I think we will be able to either drop both shields from them, or, if my opponent's just kind of insane, they can go for a catch on an Azu. Very good play by them. This fly will chip them down, but honestly, the worst thing about Azu is it is so bulky. And I say that that's the worst thing about it. It's literally the best thing about it. It's going to be able to take a Grass Knot and a fly here. I have to throw 2 charge moves with my Cradilly if I want to knock them out, and that's just kind of embarrassing. Comes our Grass Knot. This will not knock him out. If that Fly plus Grass Knot combo would be enough here, I might be in a decent spot, but since they survive this move and make me go for a shield to get a full farm down, I am in trouble. I do have energy on my Talon, I have energy on my Cradilly, and potentially I'm going to be able to go for a move against the Drapion if they do come back in with it before they're going to be able to knock us out. In comes the Rock Tomb. Our opponent is going to let them move through, actually. Okay, this is actually playable. It's going to be a Jumpfluff in the backline, a Pokemon I can permanently debuff now with our Rock Tomb. Maybe a bit of a miscue by our opponent here. Maybe they were hoping my final Pokemon was actually weak to Jumpluff, but the thing is, no matter what I have in the backline, now they're going to be permanently debuffed with that Rock Tomb. They have to throw energy to knock out my Cradilly, and my Shadow Drapion can get a lot of Poison Sting and Crunch damage into them. All I need to do is draw a shield from this Pokemon, then I should be able to win this game, because I have my Brave Bird or my Fly in the backline on my Talonflame. In comes the Crunch. It does end up doing a lot of damage, but they very wisely end up doing that move. Acrobatics being thrown right now. It is debuffed. It does not quite one-shot us here, but they can win CMP, or rather they can go for an Aerial Ace before they reach a crunch, so I go for the Aqua Tail instead. Our opponent goes for the shield still. They kind of had to shield there. An Aqua Tail would have put them into Incinerate downrange, but at this point, I'm going to be able to just no-shield this move, go for the Fly on our Talonflame, and we should have this game wrapped up. In comes the Fly, down goes the Jumpluff. GG there to our opponent. Very close match. All right, next game. What are we going to see? Hopefully a good matchup for once. Not bad, I guess. Shadow Kanto Marowak. It is a Pokemon with a Rock-type charge move, but because it is not exactly the quickest pacing Pokemon in the game, we can generally have a good matchup there. Our opponent is going to safe swap a Furret. Looks like they might have CMP'd us as well. That is psychotic behavior against a 5-turn move, but might work out for him here because it's going to end up landing against us, and I think this is going to be a little bit tricky. I did get a decent amount of Incinerate damage off, though, into this Furret, which, because we don't have a hard answer to this Pokemon, is going to help us to potentially switch advantage in our favor. Swift's going to come through, puts us pretty low here, but now a Crunch should be able to put them pretty low as well. Might even knock them out. If this does knock out the Furret, then I'm going to be in a spot where I can also reach an Aqua Tail into that Marowak, which I think is going to help us out quite a bit. In comes Marowak. We're going to go for a Crunch, actually, because while they do very similar damage to each other, Crunch can get that debuff. Crunch being thrown, our opponent is going to no-shield, and there's that debuff as we were hoping for, and now Incinerate's going to do so much damage. I guess it would, but our opponent has a Typhlosion in the backline they swap out into, and while Shadow Typhlosion is a very scary Pokemon, I don't think it's necessarily going to matter. We have a shield advantage. We have both shields already stripped away from this. We can go for a Rock Tomb, knock out Typhlosion, and then a Grass Knot's all it's going to take to knock out that Marowak. In comes a charge move. Blast Burn would knock us out basically from this range, but they're not going to be at back-to-back charge moves here. We're able to win the game with Cradilly in the backline. So for one set here to end off the day, Nothing too bad. I mean, you love to see it. These Talonflame leads into Pokemon like Drapion as well as more Pekko. They're very playable, right? And there's been matchups here today as well where you just kind of core break your opponent's team so hard they have almost nowhere to come back from. So Talonflame, a very cool Pokemon. Why Brave Bird is the moveset I use. I've seen some people use Flame Charge as well, which I think is a good moveset, but I do like that flexibility that Brave Bird kind of gives you against those bad matchups that you see oftentimes, Azu especially. But yeah, very fun team. Recommend it if you want to try out a Talonflame lineup. All right, well, thank you so much for watching today's video. If you enjoyed the battles and you want to see more content like this on the channel in the future, please make sure to leave a like and subscribe. It helps out the channel a ton, and I would really appreciate it. Thank you again for watching. Take care, and I'll see you in the next one.